We need to have a real talk, guys. There is a labor shortage, a labor crisis, and the government is not the problem. Welcome to the channel Leadership with Mike. On this channel, I help new managers become better leaders and advance their careers with no nonsense sense, if that makes any sense. So there's articles everywhere in the papers, online, checking on Facebook, on all the socials. It's like, whoa, there's a labor crisis. There's a labor shortage. And because the government has handed out so much money, nobody wants to come to work. Wrong. Nobody wants to come and be a slave. Here's what's happened in my opinion, and I'm going to use the restaurant industry as my benchmark because that's my wheelhouse. I know the most about that problem. I know. I said it. It is a problem. So the government has offered money. In Canada, $2,000 a month. Is that enough to live off of? It helps. Is it enough to make somebody not want to go back to work at a quality job? No, in my opinion, it is not. Is it enough that somebody who has to work in a restaurant or chose to work in a restaurant slaves away 12-hour shifts in a lot of kitchens, a toxic environment, and I don't throw that around lightly. I can handle my fair share of lip service, but the kitchens are brutal. They're hot. They're demanding. A lot of them have Gordon Ramsay type personalities running the kitchen, belittling people, beating them down, pushing them to their wits' end. Who wants to work there? Who wants to go and work when they've been crying and begging and demanding $15 an hour? And the idea from the industries is that you're not worth it. You're not worth $15 an hour. You're replaceable. If you don't want to come in and work for this, I can replace you. Okay. Let me ask you this, restaurant industry and every other industry that has low-wage employees. If everybody is replaceable, then what are we crying about now? What I think a lot of industries have come to realize is that there actually isn't a labor shortage. There is a supply of quality jobs shortage. If you are a restaurant chain, and I used to work at the Keg, and I will say, to my knowledge, they have very little issue finding staff. Why is that? Because from my personal experience, they appreciate their staff. They go out of their way to show appreciations. You had a shitty night, you had a hard night, you had a successful night. It is not surprising if a manager comes over and buys you dinner or buys you a drink after your shift. It is not surprising where the restaurant would say, listen, we had a blowout summer. This was a hard summer. We did this sales, staff party next Friday. Drinks are covered, rides home are covered. This is an establishment that treats their staff well. They pay their kitchen well. I've worked in many restaurants where they do not show appreciation, where they say your tip out has gone from 3.5% to 4%. Oh, you don't like it? There's the door. You can go find another restaurant because this is what we're doing for tip out. And the managers are getting some of the tip out and the owners are getting some of the tip out. Now all of a sudden we have to change our ideals in what we think we're getting in terms of people to work, our labor. So there's no shortage of people who are ready, willing, and able to work. And the government subsidy or donations or whatever you want to call this, it is not the sole reason that people are not coming back to work. It could be the catalyst because with the pandemic, people had a lot of time off. They, if they were smart, started learning new skills, started looking for jobs in fields that they went to school for. Because here's the problem that a lot of us have is that we get a job, an entry-level job, and we stay there. We stay there because people are creatures of habit, creatures of comfort. We get comfortable in a job. I know what to expect from so-and-so. I know that the leadership team is not the greatest, but you know what? I know how to avoid them. I know how to please them. I know how to get things done. So it's easier for me to handle the little monies that come, but I know my environment. The pandemic, what that did was it gave people options. You have time. You could go to school online. You can educate yourself with YouTube videos. You could buy courses like my delegation course. Delegation is something that people need to learn if they want to advance their careers and become managers and leaders. So you've got all of this time. Why, if you've learned something, would you go back to the job you had if it wasn't satisfying, if it wasn't even paying the bills, or you had to work 60 hours just to get by? This makes no sense to these workers. So I tell you, Mr. or Mrs. Hiring Manager, what are you offering to bring people back? And don't let it be the same shit you were offering a year ago, because people now understand that their time is more valuable. They've learned to work with less and enjoyed life more. So as an employer, as a hiring manager, a leader, you need to look deep into your company and see, what is it that we offer people? Do we actually treat people like shit? And if you can honestly answer that and you can say, yes, we do, now you have something to work with. How do we treat people better? How do we get rid of a toxic kitchen environment, for example? These are all questions that I cannot answer for you, obviously, but if you spend the time to answer them yourself for your company, for your new employees, then I guarantee there will not be a labor shortage for you the way there is now. If you insist on offering low wages, no incentives, you insist on treating people like garbage, you insist on allowing toxic environments to live and thrive in your company, then I do not shed a single tear for you when doors are closed. Walking down the street and you see signs that we are closed because we don't have employees that will come to work. So there's a labor shortage. And then you blame the government. That's fine. Listen, we're not going to get into a political debate here. The government can be blamed for lots of things. But before you blame anybody, you need to look at your own business. That's the end of my rant. Get your coffee and let's go to the next video. I'll see you there.